Welcome in to this Tuesday morning edition. Blue Sky Live here with you today. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. See y'all discussing it there in the stream this morning. We will talk some basketball. Ole Miss bowing out in the NCAA Tournament semifinals over the weekend. And now the task of rebuilding, reshaping the roster for next year, but a few weeks before that officially gets going, April 7th, the opening day of the NCAA basketball transfer portal. Ole Miss baseball losing 2 out of 3 to Texas over the weekend in Austin. I was on site for that. So we'll hit a few notes regarding that series. Cade Townsend injury, the main thing going on with Ole Miss this week. They do go play Austin Peay today at 4 o'clock. That is a game time change from 6:30. A lot of SEC teams doing that is the weather is getting quite chilly, or at least chilly for the time period today. So they moved it up from 6:30 to 4. I know Mississippi State did that. I know South Carolina did that. I think Vanderbilt's playing at 2 today, if I saw that correctly. LSU did not move theirs. So I think they're still playing tonight. But either way, that is on tap for baseball. And then we have Pro Day tomorrow. I don't know. There's a ton of storylines there. And then spring practice schedule finally released as well. Ole Miss starting March 27th.
Challenge for the stream. And be serious. Just try. Try one time. Let's try it. Let's try it one time. No sarcasm. Be serious. What would you like to know, if anything, from Ole Miss Pro Day? There's a challenge. I realize there's a 0% chance of no snark. But I'm asking one time. No sarcasm. No silliness. Is there anything at all that you'd actually want to know? Not times and stuff, because they'll release times. Is there anything at all you'd like to know from Pro Day?
And I'll read that list of names that are at Pro Day in a minute when we do a few things. We'll get to that. So, all right. Let's see. Okay, never mind. I got it. Sorry. Blue Sky locations throughout the state of Mississippi, up and down I-55 throughout North Mississippi as well. Taking care of you on your travels. If it's local, it's the Oxford Exxon and Sweet Daddy stops all over the state of Mississippi. Brisket, pulled pork, ribs, side items, desserts, and plenty more. Lunch specials, $5.69, a couple sides bread, any size fountain drink. And again, coming from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest's up to you. Shop that quote around. You can do with that quote what you'd wish. Shop it around if you'd like. Or you can hop into a Clark Ford today. You'll love the product. You'll love the service. The people at Clark Ford, they want to be your car guy. They want to be your truck guy. They'll prove to you what that means when you make the call. 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit CampbellClinicOxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
So the schedule for Pro Day, had it up 1 second, and I will get to that. Sorry, not schedule. The list of players invited. I do not have a schedule. I don't know what order they're doing anything.
Yeah, they show up at, I think they start on-field stuff around 10:30.
In alphabetical order, Tyler Banks, Trace Bruckler, Todd Chambers, Logan Diggs, Kapina Gushikin, Xavier Harris, Andrew Jones, Percy Lewis, Diego Pounds, Sage Ryan, Carter Short, DeJohn Stribling, Damian Taylor, Harrison Wallace, otherwise known as Trey, Jaden Williams, Wydette Williams, Daquan Wright. That is the list of Pro Day participants tomorrow for the Ole Miss Rebels. Seen comments in the stream about Daquan. I mean, I do think I find Daquan the most interesting of any player tomorrow for whatever reason. Yeah, I do. Okay. I think
more than Xavier.
I think Daquan has helped his stock over the last 2 years a lot. Think in some ways he has even been, even though Ole Miss fans clearly appreciate him, has been somewhat underrated. I think he is a very difficult person to replace for this team, and I think given his hybrid nature of being able to do a lot of things at tight end, he has an NFL future. So, yeah, I think Savion is clearly a large human who is going to play professional football, but I feel like we've known that throughout. Like, I'm more interested in somebody who maybe has raised stock than simply has stock. So, for whatever reason, Daquan means more to me from that standpoint than anybody else on the list. And then I really like Dejon Stribling. Hope he does well.
Yeah.
I find him probably second or third in that. See, Gatlin, we took care of you. Says I want to hear our participants in pro day list slowly read alphabetically. So you got it. You got all the players right there for you.
Yeah.
Amen to please.
And it's on the board too. If you subscribe to Rebels 24/7, Tyler Combs put that list up in alphabetical order. I think he probably cut and paste, which is fine. It's what I would have done too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's there. If you don't subscribe to Rebels 24/7, today would be a great day to try it. Baseball coverage, pro day, recruiting, etc.
Ole Miss is going to begin spring practice on March 27th. Okay, let's go through this one time. Media availability, nothing until the 31st. So they're going to start on 27th. We're not going to have anything on until the 31st.
Yep.
Then in-person press conferences will be held after each Tuesday and Friday of the schedule.
We get Golding and players on Tuesday.
Yes.
And then just players on Friday.
Correct.
We have a limited practice viewing ability on Tuesdays.
So you will hear from Pete Golding for the first time on March 31st since the bowl game. March 31st, Tuesday. 12:20 approximately on that 31st.
That's correct.
And they've been pretty good with time through the bowl season, at least. Not terrible, except for that one day. I had that one day.
Yeah.
It was really late, but for the most part, okay. Then Meet the Rebels Day returning. No spring game again. So third year in a row, no no traditional type spring game. And then
correct.
No on-field festivities for the second year in a row. April 25th, 9:30, Manning Center. Obviously, free admission, player autographs, Q&A with Golding, all that jazz there for you. On Meet the Rebels Day, April 25th. I like that event just for kids. I think it's a good thing for doing that for your fan base. I mean, frankly, I remember it as a kid. I guess this shows my cynical nature a little bit where we are. I am a little surprised we still have it simply because you have to pay for everything these days with most players.
Oh,
that you force players, or not force, but in some level you require players to sign autographs for free. I'm a little surprised. I'm thankful, thank God, but when I saw it, I had just the sliver of, okay, that's good. I wasn't sure. So Siski in the stream this morning, I guess.
Apparently he is, yes.
Okay. So that's it. If y'all have more questions regarding spring practice, feel free. No problems. Baseball, again, we'll start there. I'm going to spend a good bit of time on basketball today. So I'll start with baseball a little bit, and then we'll get over to basketball and probably stay there because I want to talk about the tournament a little bit as well. We like the tournament.
Okay.
Not as fun as last year when you guys were completely enthralled in it and you were in it. But nonetheless, everybody's going to be watching starting even tonight. Texas plays NC State and Will Wade tonight in a play-in game.
Oh, is that right?
That is correct. Yes, that is 100% true. The Power 4 play-in game, if you will, along with one of the 16 play-in games, is tonight. Look at the schedule coming up. But should hear on Cade Townsend today, I think. I've heard some optimism. Let me be very clear. I do not have anything official whatsoever, just kind of scuttlebutt that has been running through around the program since Saturday. Cade left his start against Texas in the second inning. He threw a curveball that sailed on him. He had weird body language on the mound. Athletics trainer Josh Porter and pitching coach Joel Mangrum came out, talked to him. He pointed toward his shoulder, talked to him about his shoulder. Mike Bianco comes out. They take him out of the game. And I sort of followed up with Mike pretty hard on Sunday of, you do still think shoulder, right? Because when it first happened, I am very conditioned to look at, is he favoring forearm? Is he favoring fingers and trying to flex for feeling? Things that would indicate elbow at that point. I thought that he one time kind of did a little flick, but Mike was very adamant on Sunday that it was shoulder related. And the talk around the program is that they may have, maybe not. I mean, you can say dodged a bullet, or you can say either way, he's not suffering from something long term. Again, the scuttlebutt that is going around, I do not have that official, but it's where we are as of 8:26. My goal today is to try to figure something out prior to first pitch tonight. So we will see where we go on that as the day moves on. Clearly a big deal for Ole Miss. I mean, it's the most talented arm, a guy who just, I think early in Saturday's start was pumped up, first SEC game. He was trying a little too hard, which happens with guys in that instance, and then he just I think something hurt and everybody got scared for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what happened, which is, look, he's projected number 8 overall in the draft this summer per Keith Law as of a couple weeks ago. You take care of him, you take care of his body, you take care of his arm. They did 100% the right thing by getting him off the mound.
Absolutely.
Check it, get some imaging, and see where you go from there. Yes, let me I guess point that out as well. He put a Instagram photo or a story up yesterday. It's the world we're in year of our Lord 2026. He put a story up on Instagram yesterday, a picture of himself with LFG on it, which I'm going to, in internet detective mode, say that he got a positive imaging report from that. That would be, I don't think that's a reach to guess that interpretation from his social media post yesterday. Again, I'm not going to write off of that, but
he could have been excited about a Sunday NBA game, or a team got a seed in the tournament that he wanted them to get.
Or St. Patrick's Day today.
It's possible.
Usually you wouldn't put your picture of yourself, however, when you did that. You wouldn't think.
I just don't know. Never know.
Dora's asking what's going on with Hunter Elliott. He's scuffling a little bit. He changed arm angles in the offseason, and I still think there's some getting used to that a little bit. It's one of those deals where I get you've got to win, but it's where Mangrum has done a really good job over the course of what is now basically a year and a half of marrying development with win now. And you clearly need to get outs, and they need Hunter to be very good on Friday night. But if you are really, your goals with this program are about postseason success. If there's a way to make him better for that point, you go ahead and chase that and be working on that as time goes on. And they've done a really good job with that. Look, Hunter, if he's your concern, you're in really good shape, because what he has taught you over the years is he will figure it out in some capacity. So I'm not overly concerned with Hunter Elliott right now. And look, I get it was because Tristan Pacetta hit a ball 1,000 feet. They did win the game on Friday night.
Yeah.
They are 1-0 in his starts to this point.
I mean, look, they went to Austin against one of the better teams in the country, and they got a game.
They had to get a game. Got a game.
Some of the sky is falling stuff, I don't, and I'm openly admit this, that I don't think you can follow baseball the way that you follow football and maintain A, credibility, or B, sanity. Anybody who was predicting that series objectively picked Ole Miss to win 1 of 3. And they did. My opinion. You're free to disagree. I'm pretty resolved in that. I don't know that anyone who isn't a homer would have gone, yeah, they're going to go to Austin and take 2 or 3. No, I would have said, hey, they're going to go to Austin and get 1, and that's good. Again, you and I talked about this yesterday. This is, I'm probably making you uncomfortable here. I don't think 20-10's on the table. So,
but I don't think that's what everybody's mad about, though. Like, I think there is a frustration that even through the non-conference, they simply have an offensive problem.
Sure.
That, frankly, I predicted. I'm right.
Yeah.
But
that's my point,
that
though. That's my point, is that you can't suddenly expect that, okay, they struggled in the non-con to hit, and then they're going to go play Texas in Austin and hit. No, this is going to be one of those teams probably that if it gets to where people hope it gets, they get there by small things. It's probably not going to be a team that just mows through the conference, is my point.
Yeah, Hunter's going to give you more than 2 innings. Like, we're overreacting to Hunter Elliott right now. That is one thing that is happening. Like, calm down.
Sure.
Is he Drew Pomeranz at his peak or Doug Nikhazy? No, he is absolutely not. He's not that same profile of a guy. He is not going to average 7 innings per start. He's going to have some fastball command issues. He's going to rely on a lot of whiffs on a changeup, and he's going to have runners all over the damn place, and he's going to get out of it more often than he doesn't. And he's going to get better as the season goes on. So, yes, there are some problems with that and what it does to your pitching depth down line, but it just simply is where it sits right now. Now, offensively, they have a problem, and they have a problem because their lineup doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for the college game, and it's probably what I predicted plus a little bit because I thought, and again, it's so damn early, but to this point, and I mean non-con in this as I'm talking, I thought they would hit more home runs than they've hit, and I thought that they would be a little more efficient throughout the order at hitting the ball in the gap. Their issue right now is twofold, and they're related. It's too many strikeouts, not enough moving runners around the base pass, whatever vernacular you want to use for that. It's doing anything productive from a quab standpoint with runners on base, runners in scoring position. And then in addition to that, you're not getting the slugging percentage necessary to facilitate that type of baseball. And those two things marrying together is a huge issue for Ole Miss because, again, 2 points. Texas probably has, or at least arguably has, the best starting rotation in the SEC. With Rojas on Friday, he's very damn good. And Ole Miss did a really nice job with him through 3 or 4 innings to get him the hell out of there. They put a great third inning together. I thought Friday night they did really well against that ace. Now, they got completely smothered by Luke Harrison on Saturday for the second straight season. He was good. They were terrible. Ole Miss was 0 for 16 runners on base in that game. And then on Sunday, Volantis is definitely the best Sunday starter in the league, and you ran into a bit of a buzzsaw, but you had opportunities, and that I think that is the frustrating thing for everybody right now. I had this stat, and I don't remember the exact stat. I should go find it. I don't remember it. I wrote it in my Sunday recap. But Ole Miss had double-digit more opportunities with runners on base than Texas over the weekend, and Texas scored 14 more runs. They just did nothing with runners on base. They missed 10 opportunities to score a runner from third with fewer than 2 outs over the course of the weekend. They were 5 for 48 with runners on base through the 4th inning on Sunday when the game was still a game. You cannot play winning baseball that way. It does not work, especially in the college game and especially against Texas because that turf field shoots balls through the hole. It's fast. It's a fast turf. My God. Texas recruits to that. They should. They did well with it. And then 2, defenses are going to kick it around. They just are. They're not perfect. They're not Bobby Witt playing shortstop in the SEC. So Ole Miss has got to figure out a way to balance offense and defense and figure out a way, because I think their defense has actually been better lately other than just got rattled on Sunday. They've got to find a way to put players in who are going to be a little more efficient in some damn capacity. Their issue with that is Austin Foley has been really bad. He had 2 better at-bats at the end of the game on Sunday. He hit a fly ball to the wall that got dropped, and he hit a double. Your hope with him is that once he kind of gets on a streak, he runs it a little while. So you hate to take him out right before the streak happens. It's kind of who he is as a player at this point. It's who he was last year. And you don't have a great other option because Colin Reuter really beat up non-conference pitching, but he really struggled over the weekend. So I'm not going to go worsen my defense to then not be real sure what to do in the other way. I think Topher Jones needs more at-bats at this point. I don't know what to do with Daniel Pasella because he is getting completely overwhelmed and he's giving you nothing. However, it is 100% mental. It is in his head to a point that you can see the gears turning when he goes to the plate. He is wailing at every fastball and trying to hit 1,000 home runs in one at-bat. So the psychologist in that, I don't know what you do and how you handle that moving forward because you're giving up on a talent if you just don't play him. Yet the at-bats are so empty right now. And how to manage that and how not to manage that. And then
well, in today's baseball, you paid him to be your guy. You've got to give him every opportunity to be the guy.
Paid him a lot of money. And then at shortstop, Braden Randall has been much better defensively. I thought he had a really good weekend defensively. He is really hurting you offensively. And when you put Randall and Foley right next to each other in the order as they're currently playing, that is it's compounding the issues because you can't get the thing turned over at all. You can't get back to Becerra and Unimark and Federico or Decker or whoever's leading off at that juncture. I would play Owen Pano a little bit and just see what you get. I understand where the defense has been. I get it. I think he's had some pretty good at-bats, and I think you're at least getting some potential of some upside if you do that. But the truth is they are just completely scared of his defense right now. And they're not just scared of him making errors. They're scared of him making an error and that affecting his offense because that's where it was last year. Last Sunday was a flashing neon sign to that because Mike started him at DH. And you only start a kid who is your shortstop or a potential shortstop at DH if you are worried about him making an early error and then that affecting forward bats the rest of the way. That's the only reason you would ever be in that situation from a lineup standpoint. But Randall has this thing right now, and it's not what Clement teaches. Look, I'm not, this is not defending Mike Clement or the offense, but it's not the way they teach. Randall weighs 170 pounds, and he is pulling a front shoulder and trying to pull the baseball up into the air. It's not going to work. He doesn't have the strength and power to play that game. He should have a very, very flat swing and be trying to hit line drives and ground balls. It's just the way his body is working, and that's not what he's trying to do, a launch angle lift effect that is simply not compatible with his swing and his body at this point. And again, I know they're working on it, but I don't know. I'm not ingrained enough to give you more than that. But no, they 100% have some lineup issues. There's a lot to that. Now, on the other side, they're getting a crap ton out of Becerra right now, more than maybe they even expected. He's been great, and I think it's real. I think it's going to stick the whole year. I think this is who he is. He was hurt last year at Clemson, and I think they got a bargain on a guy that's going to hit the middle of the order and be very, very, very good the most of the year. I think they've quietly gotten pretty good stuff out of Utermark, out of Furness. I think they've been what you expected to this point. It's just the rest of it. Federico coming around a little bit. I thought he had a better weekend. He got on base a lot. He got on base 4 times, I think, on either Friday or Saturday. It's kind of running together. But, yeah, they got one. They play Kentucky. Very important series at home because you got State next week. You need to get at least 2 against the Wildcats who swept Alabama. Now, I think Alabama might be bad, but either way, they swept Alabama and Tuscaloosa over the weekend. And Wicked has a good point because when you watch Ole Miss play, and I'll move on after this, when you watch Ole Miss play, you see a ton of trying to pull the baseball, trying to hit all the doubles and all the home runs and hit everything that way. And this is where it's baffling. And I'm more introducing this because I don't have an answer. It's not what they teach. They teach middle away, punish it where it's pitched, the things that you would anticipate for that level. They teach those things.
It's what the kids work on now, though, from a very early age.
It's where I'm going.
High velocity, launch angles.
And let me be clear here. I don't know this answer. So I'm just going to throw these 2 things out, and then we'll go from there. Because,
I'll be clear. I have no clue.
Well, no, here's my point. Because this is going to be the next response, and you're right when you ask it. I think you're getting kids in college baseball in general confused or in a weird spot because what they are being taught with their hitting coach on their team is different than what their private hitting coach is teaching them in the summer or in the off season or as they were maturing into this college player. I think it's 100% different. It's why you got to be really careful with the pitchers and drive line and some of the things you do with those guys. I think it's a huge issue. Now, the other side of that, and it's a very fair argument, is when I watch other teams that don't have those same issues, why are their coaches able to get them to do whatever? And I don't know. I'm just simply putting 2 things together, and I don't 100% know how to connect them, but I'm telling you that both those things independent are issues they are trying to figure out and do exist right now as we move forward. So that's kind of what I'm telling you. That's where we are there with that. But no, let's let a couple more weeks play out. Let's let it marinate a little bit.
Well, that was my overriding point, is that you can't reach a bunch of conclusions on 3 SEC games in Austin against a Texas team that was undefeated coming into the end of the series. There's a world where they're the best team in the league. I don't know if they are or not. I have no idea. I do think I agree with you. This weekend's important. I think you have to get 2 against Kentucky. And if you do, you're 3-3, which is about where you would hope you would have been going into the season.
Fight for 15. Anything over that's gravy. Just fight for 15.
Yes.
And you're probably getting in even shy of that a few games, but fight for 15, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I just think the I'm not criticizing it. Do what you want. I think the day-to-day, game-to-game, oh my God approach to everything is just going to drive you nuts. This team, and I think probably maybe all 16 SEC teams, is losing at least 10, 11 SEC games.
Also, and this is the thing that I'm not sure.
And yes, BWL college coaches still have private hitting coaches. Pro players have private hitting coaches.
Some have multiple.
I mean, you
would be stunned by the entourages.
Yes. It's just the sport's different. All sports are different.
I do think I do think this is where you're not seeing warts of everybody a little bit here, because Ole Miss was 5th in the SEC in runs scored last year. They were good. They were fine offensively last year. This has not been a constant problem. Frankly, the constant problem was pre-Joel Mangrum on the mound. Ole Miss always had the ace that sort of covered it up from a PR standpoint, but the pitching was why they didn't succeed at the level necessary for a lot of years there. The offense has, in their better years, been the reason that they have played. It's been an ace in an offense that's been allowed them to do that. Oh, Philip Anthony, 17 gets you a national seed. I'm not sure Ole Miss wouldn't be at least in the host conversation at 15 this year. That this schedule is a bitch.
It's kind of my point.
I don't think any SEC team outside of one who got a gift of a schedule, and I don't know who that is, I haven't looked at it, can have an expectation of 17 or more wins, maybe outside of Texas right now. I just don't think that exists in this league at the moment. So we'll come back, continue the conversation in a second. First, NE Spark, the fastest, most reliable fiber internet option available, where you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends. They offer both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabits. To learn more, register for service. That's nespark.com. NeSpark, get connected. Stay local.
Ole Miss had a great portal season. You can too. Do you have an old IRA or 401k with a former employer? Is that money stuck with the bad team, not living up to its full potential? Put that account in the transfer portal. Let a fellow Rebel professionally manage it for you. Andrew Seago Wealth Management will build a playoff caliber portfolio just for you. Book a quick discovery call today at rebelsretire.com or 901-482-2676. Have a mailbag to you at some point tomorrow. It's brought to you by Art Hayes, Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's, a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. So call and ask him how. 612-805-5929 or arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com. Brought to you by Comer Heating and Air. Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. It's cold today, but it's going to be in the 80s this weekend. You need to get that air conditioner checked to make sure it's ready to roll as the warm months approach. And with Comer and Southern, you get the same, different names, you get the same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Memphis, South Haven, those areas, call us Southern 662-429-4429. We're brought to you by ENT Physicians of North Mississippi as the largest private ENT practice in the state. Their goal is simple. It's delivering fast, expert, comprehensive care for patients of all ages with ENT, allergy, sinus, dizziness, balance, and voice-related needs. They've got same-day or next-day appointments with ENT urgent care for that annoying cough or sore throat. They can do in-office CT scans, same-day allergy testing, and you get access to their comprehensive audiology team offering a full range of services from hearing aids and custom hearing protection to potential surgical options. They're committed to removing barriers to care at ENT. They have new locations in New Albany and Starkville, in addition to Tupelo, Corinth, and more. Get more details at entnorthmississippi.com or call 662-844-6513.
Podcast also brought to you by The Firm. As your home and auto insurance keep going up, with the folks at The Firm, a proud Liberty Mutual and Safeco Insurance agency partner. Take a look. Founded by Ole Miss alum Brian Hayden, they service the entire Southeastern Conference with their team of licensed professionals. Review your insurance needs and put together coverages to protect you and your family without breaking the bank. 662-236-1101 or emailing staff at thefirmsouth.com. Yeah, I knew Texas had gotten a pretty good schedule, so that was one of the reasons I mentioned them. I knew they didn't play Arkansas, I guess no LSU is what somebody's saying as well. Now, there will be teams in the preseason we thought were great and vice versa that are not, because there are some scuffling right now. But yeah, it's March 17th. They're going to play in 40-something degree weather today. It's not 85, and we're not in May yet, so we'll give it a little time there to hash out. The team didn't get back in until probably around 12:30 yesterday. Their flight was canceled out of Austin on on Sunday evening, as wind was affecting more than anything else, and then trying to figure out ways to get around that cell that had picked up a lot of wind and rain and storms and things there in the area. That's one thing on Cade. It's possible. Again, I don't know what the LFG meant. It's also possible he hasn't had the image yet because it got rescheduled because of the flight yesterday, because it threw off their travel a little bit as that was going on. I thought they would get out because they were flying charter, they were flying private. The softball team did get out. They left. They were in Austin too over the weekend. They left about 30 minutes prior to when the baseball team was supposed to leave and was able to do it. Because I saw all the horror stories on Austin with the security lines and all that stuff, and I have a lot of travel anxiety anyway. I just do. I really struggle with it. And I was terrified of having to sit longer than necessary. So my thought process on Sunday was write as much as you can during the game, take your bag down, get out, go to the airport and just work and find a restaurant and chill. I kind of like doing that and was like, okay, that's cool. So I've got my bag now and I'm walking down the steps there at Dish Falk, and I get the dreaded text from Delta that said your 8:30 has been shifted to 10:36 now. And I was like, not great, but okay. As long as we're here, that's fine. And my thought process was just get the plane to Austin that I'm supposed to fly home on. Because if you go to FlightAware and you go to your flight, they've got the little tab at the top that says, where is my plane? And you can click it and see where that plane currently is and what it's doing to get to you. So that was where my head went. And I go to the airport. Let me say that at least in the afternoon on that day, despite South by Southwest going on and making town a zoo, security took me, I timed it, 4 minutes.
Oh, wow.
4 minutes. So that was not an issue.
That's pretty solid.
At all there on Sunday. So I get through security. I'm like, okay, and I pull it up and it says, my plane was in Nashville, needed to get to Austin. He was supposed to leave at 5 o'clock. And on FlightAware, it was still green. It said scheduled 5 o'clock. This was like 5:10, 5:15. So I thought they just haven't updated it yet. Get it here. We're good. Because at that point, it was like 85 and sunny in Nashville. Now, the winds were terrible, but it was 85 and sunny. So I go find the gate because I'm the weird person also that goes to see my gate, and then I proceed back to wherever I'm going at that point. And I look down again, and Nashville's thing says delayed until 7:30 now to get the plane to Austin. That's why it's 10:36. I'm doing the math and going, okay, that makes sense. They've updated. That's where we are. So I am just roaming around the Austin airport at this point.
Nice airport.
It is a good airport. Got a lot of food options. Yeah. It's not a big airport, but it feels spacious. And I think it's because each gate is pretty large. It's kind of at least like spread out a little bit or something that seems to give it a little more width as you're walking through there. So as I'm walking down the terminal, I've got AirPods in. I'm barely paying attention, not really expecting to see anybody. And I bump into Carl Lafferty, Ole Miss assistant baseball coach, as I'm walking. I'm like, what are you doing? Because I'm thinking they're gone. He's on the charter. And he had been out recruiting and had met the team in Austin. So he was flying commercial back into Memphis because that's where his car was or whatnot. And so we became amateur trying to figure out when planes are leaving. And we teach you about getting the right app here because it's 7:52. One app my app said the plane in Nashville is taxiing to the runway to take off. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Then it just sits there. I've got the little image with showing the plane on the runway, and it moves over to the right. And for over an hour, nothing. It's just sitting there. Carl's app has shown it in the air traveling at 500 and something miles an hour.
Oh.
And was showing cruising altitudes and everything. And we're like, and it's still saying 10:36 at this point. So I'm like, well, maybe my thing's wrong. Like, what do we do? And I was talking to a friend who was agreeing with me, going, no, like I think that thing's still sitting there, like whatever. And I can't tell you the frustration of hoping you are wrong and your app is wrong and not really sure in what's going on. So finally, I walk over to the gate change where we're going, and he walks up behind me and goes, "Hey, did you see it?" I look down. 10:36 is now 12:35.
Ooh.
And at this point, oh boy, pilot's timing out. Is it actually gonna? Because at that, then that plane's not in the air.
Right.
That's not the answer. We've got a problem now. And for the next hour and a half, it's complete wait game of just hoping you hear nothing and everything just stays as is. We did learn that they were going to put new pilots on our plane, so we felt great then because you wouldn't get the timeout situation. You thought, hey, that's going to be okay. And then once the plane got basically halfway through the air and we knew it was landing at 11:56, it was going to be a late night, but we were going to be able to get home. So I had started my trip to Austin from Atlanta because my family had been in Atlanta or the Atlanta area for most of the week from a spring break standpoint. So credit to Carl. Also got a ride home because I was going to have to make somebody come get me in Memphis at 2:30 in the morning, which would have really sucked. So great assist there. That helped tremendously. But yeah, I walked in my house at 4:10. So that was a long way of saying I was not in shape to do a podcast at 8 o'clock yesterday morning. It was the worst travel situation I've had in a while. I've been really lucky over the last few years of not having any crazy overnight thing because had I been stranded, there were no flights out to Memphis the next day. I think I would have been in a car all day yesterday getting home. There were outrageous flight prices and where you had to go to get home on Monday. We're talking like 10, 11-hour travel days for $1,500.
Yeah, you would
kind of stuff.
You would have just had to go spend a day in Austin.
Yeah,
there'd be no
wait till Tuesday.
Yes, of course.
I mean, it was
not getting a car and drive.
It was going to be a mess. It's a long way of saying I did get something kind of cool because this is always it's an airport bar, but while I was eating and staring at my computer and texting and trying to figure out what was going on, the WBC was on as the U.S. was trying to advance, play in the Dominican Republic, and you got that shared watch, especially for a national team thing that you like so much. It's because you're getting all the cheers and the loudness and all the stuff going on. It's just a really well played, great baseball game played out there with the U.S. winning 2-1 and advancing to the finals. Roman Anthony with a big home run. What might have been, Rebels. You were right there. He would have been a very good college baseball player. I feel confident in saying he would have hit SEC pitching.
Piercy did the right thing, not going to college.
I think he probably made a very solid decision there. So that was neat.
It's prudent.
The WBC has been a success. I think they have gotten very fortunate with the teams advancing and some of the storylines that went with that. Venezuela beat Italy last night in the other semifinal. So the Venezuelans will play the Americans in Miami for the championship. I do not know who's getting the ball for Team USA. I have no idea.
It's the dude for the Mets. McLean, I think is his name.
Okay. Italy was essentially America's JV team. A lot of players that all were born in America but had Italian lineage in some ways. The rules are pretty loose on how you get citizenship for this tournament, which I'm good with. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Got no issue. Dylan DeLucia pitched very well for the Italians during the course of the World Baseball Classic. Andrew Fisher hit at least one home run, I know, for the Italians also. But it's the Venezuelans and the Americans there in the final. U.S. is a heavy favorite, but Venezuela's pretty good. I mean, they got Suarez who hit 49, 50 home runs last year. Acuna's on that team. It's not a... I think they were underrated coming into the tournament because I read that story. Remember, we talked about it last week on the podcast with kind of what the favorites and the underdogs and who you should know and all that was. And they kind of made fun of everybody that wasn't Japan, Dominican, the United States. But when you look at Venezuela's roster, it's a pretty good roster. So we'll see where that goes there in the final between Ole Miss and the Venezuelans. Have you cared at all?
I mean, I haven't really had time to care. I saw where Seiya Suzuki got hurt playing for Japan. Appeared to be pretty significant knee injury. It's probably the most I've paid attention to any of it. I watched about a half inning of the game you referenced the other day, but it was Sunday and I was tired. I couldn't stay awake. I haven't gotten into professional baseball much in a couple of years, and I don't really know why. I have nothing against it. It's a great product. I love it, but I just haven't gotten into it. No, I haven't watched a lot of it. I was obviously busy last week, and it's late in the NBA season, and I watch a lot of NBA, which I know that gets made fun of, and we don't talk about it here. But yeah, no, I haven't watched a lot of it. When's the Venezuela-America game? Is it tonight?
I actually think it might be tonight. I'm trying to figure it out. 1 second. Yeah, it is at 7:00.
Okay. It'll be one of those things where if I see that it's a close game late, I might turn it on. I mean, I might turn it on at 7. I probably won't think about it at 7.
Nolan McLean.
Yeah,
for the Americans. But to your point, baseball's a commitment, a little bit.
Oh, a lot bit.
It's not one to casually follow. Much to what we're talking about. It's intricate. It's a marathon.
Well, and you have to get on the MLB app, and it's not awesome on your television, and you have to refresh it a lot, and then you can't. They've got bad blackout rules. Honestly, they do. I like the Cubs. So if the Cubs play the Braves or the Cardinals or the Reds, I've got to go to a different app, which is no big deal. It's first world problems. And you have to listen to a different announcing crew. And some of those crews I like, some I don't. I think the Reds crew is really good. I think the Cardinals crew with Chip Cary's horrible. And the Braves crew is good. I enjoy the Braves broadcast. It's fine. But sometimes you're watching your team and there's something going on with your team and you want to get an update on what's happening with your guys, and you can't because you live in suburban Cincinnati. So I think baseball has some issues in terms of being a fan. And like you said, it's a hell of a commitment, one that I used to make and one that
It used to set your calendar.
Yeah, one that I'm less inclined to make now because I think my allegiance from what I enjoy watching in my spare time has shifted. I don't know that I could name. You could throw a team at me, and 10 years ago, I could tell you their starting lineup, and now I might be hard pressed to name one or two guys.
Yeah. No, I think that's more than valid.
It just is what it is. I mean, what you do shifts. Your life changes. I'm not as interested in it as I once was. No particular reason. The sport's done nothing to me. It's not the strike or any of that stuff. It's just things change.
The Cubs were fun too last year.
Yeah,
it's not just a Cubs thing.
Yeah, no, they were. I mean, I watched some of their games. I just didn't get into it.
Yeah,
but it's look. I will argue some of the people who are like baseball sucks or whatever. I mean, the players have never been better. They're elite. There's so many guys who throw 100 miles an hour, and
the pitch. It can be two things. It can be better players and a more boring game at the same time.
Sure.
And I think that's what's happened.
Yeah, I mean, analytically, the game has changed. Guys are swinging for the fences.
The pitching has gotten so good that you can't rely on getting 3 hits in a row.
Yeah, it's hard to string hits together.
So thus, you have started trying to get more power.
Yeah.
Back to the other conversation. It's why college players that don't fit that profile at all are still trying to do it. And you have to fight them from it.
Look, most high-level college players, and if you're in the SEC, you're a high-level college player, they have Major League Baseball aspirations. In the same way that if you play high-level college basketball, they want to play in the NBA. I mean, that's just the way it is. High-level college football players want to play in the NFL. So to expect those trends at the highest level not to bleed into the next level down is idiotic. Of course they do. Of course they do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, you have to, as a coaching staff, adjust to that. These guys want to play in the bigs. How do you play in the bigs? You hit the ball out of the ballpark. You throw 100 miles an hour. You pitch to swing and miss. I mean, if you're a guy that pitches to contact, you're going to have a lot harder road to the bigs than a guy who gets a lot of swing and miss.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It's like in the college, if you're a guy that makes a lot of twos in college basketball, you're not going to make it as quickly to the NBA as you will if you're a guy that can shoot 38% or higher from three. It's just the analytics of it.
Yeah. No, it's variety is more interesting, and there's less variety. That's the answer. No, players are incredibly talented, but typically a product needs variety, and baseball has less variety than ever.
Pro sports have always been copycat leagues, always. And so teams look at what works, what wins, and they try to copy it. And if what works is a lot of swing and miss and a lot of home runs, that's what everyone tries to do.
Your other TV tonight, if you care about the basketball games, is said it's 11 seed Texas, 11 seed NC State. So Will Wade facing the Longhorns. That's on True TV at 8:15 tonight. Texas favored by 1.5 in that game.
I haven't seen NC State in a while, but I've seen Texas twice in the last month, and they're scuffling.
Then your darlings out of the MAC, the Miami of Ohio team that went through the regular season undefeated. They're going to play in against SMU tonight. 2 11 seeds there. That's also 8:15. Well, that can't be right. It says on True, but they can't be on the same channel at the same time. So
there's one tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow. Sorry, you're right. Yeah, SMU, Miami, Ohio tomorrow. SMU favored by 6.5 in that game against the Red Hawks. And then your 2 16v16s, Howard, UMBC tonight. Is UMBC the one that beat Virginia a couple years ago? Was that Maryland, Baltimore County, or was that somebody else?
Sounds right.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to bet my life on it.
And then Lehigh Prairie View tomorrow in the other one from there. So that is your first 4 games tonight and tomorrow night. So now let's just transition to basketball. We'll do that in 1 second. First, Horn Legend, hornlegend.com, sponsors of my Around the Horn product every single week. It'll be Thursday this week for sure, with Ole Miss starting its series against Kentucky at 7 o'clock on television on Thursday evening. Horn Legend got your jackets, got your vests, got a great number of polos going as the temperatures will heat up very soon. They also got some ways for you to get some free product there with Horn Legend. So again, click the MPW Digital drop down. We'd appreciate that to pick up all your menswear needs plus your women's jackets and vests. Again, hornlegend.com.
We're brought to you by Arnett's Fine Jewelry, 4th generation jeweler located in the old Lamons building on North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. It's getting close to graduation season, just a matter of weeks. So you got a great place to go for graduation gifts, anniversary gifts, birthdays, and more. They've got everything you're looking for in jewelry at Arnett's. They want to be your jeweler. College baseball in town the next couple of weeks. Perfect time to go to the College Corner. A little chilly at night, warm in the day, so you need a variety of things, probably a variety of colors. And you got all the brands you're looking for: Nike, Horn Legend, Champion, Antigua, just to name a few. You can also go to collegecornerstore.com. And if you're heading out to the outfield on Thursday night for Ole Miss and Kentucky, I recommend Coors. Coors Banquet's been brewed in the same tradition of the original 150-year-old recipe. It's crafted with 100% Rocky Mountain water. So when you're enjoying a banquet, you are drinking history. And we're brought to you by Argent Wealth. They're based in Ridgeland, Mississippi. They've got clients in more than 20 states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. At Argent, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So get in touch with them at myargentwealth.com.
Podcast also brought to you by the Jackson Graber Group with GMFS Mortgage, local trusted mortgage lenders right here in town. Help all home buyers with first home, new construction, refinances. John Graber graduated from Oxford High, Ole Miss alum, local in-house processing, underwriting, servicing, and great in the condo financing sector. It's a little more complicated. Need an expert. John is one of those. So buying a home, refinancing, or just have mortgage questions, gmfsmortgage.com/JGG 662-762-4502. I'm going to get in the tournament in a minute. Before we do that, did you have any I guess, what is your relevance thought on the report by Matt Brown yesterday that Ole Miss is 13th nationally in men's basketball spending from a budget standpoint? Again, this does not include player procurement numbers.
Yeah, and so I think that's the key number there. I mean, he admitted that he didn't get results from a lot of schools.
Florida being one.
I highly doubt Ole Miss is actually 13th. If you were to get the numbers, look, they're invested in basketball. Chris makes a very handsome salary. You have an AD that I can tell you is passionate about basketball. A chancellor that I think is passionate about men's basketball. I think Ole Miss is committed to winning in men's basketball. It's much more problematic than that. It's more complicated than that. But from a commitment standpoint, I don't think you can question their general level of commitment. Now, the whole player procurement part, the NIL part, man, I just don't know how in today's environment anybody really answers those questions. If you were to say, hey, where do you rank in the league and in NIL, I don't know how you would go about getting those honest answers. When everyone, not just Ole Miss, everyone basically protects that information like a national secret.
The other thing, too, to point out on this, it's a couple of things. So, again, basically what Matt Brown did, or not basically, exactly what he did, is he went through all the published NCAA budget reports that I go through every year. I feel confident in saying that I know more about them than anybody else on the beat because I'm kind of obsessed about them for a few weeks every year. And that includes kind of how they're put together. Because one issue with it, even in the reporting that I do every year and trying to explain things, is it's a bit of a moving target. Either number one, inside each institution on how they report certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Good example of that is, had this been done 2 years ago, Ole Miss men's basketball would have shown $2 million more ish approximately in its budget for spending. And that would have been because that was loan payments for the pavilion. It would have been debt services. Well, last year and this year, that was pulled out and not given to each individual sport, men's and women's, $2 million each or whatever it was, because that was something that Ole Miss determined should not reflect spending because that's not operational on a day-to-day. I agree with that. I think that is a better representation of how you're putting that. But again, one school could put every bit of debt services for each individual sport inside those budgets and make it look like they're spending way damn more than they're actually spending from that standpoint. The other one is buyouts. Kermit Davis gets $750,000, give or take. I can go look it up for sure, but whatever. We'll call it $750 in this. Well, that's almost $1 million. It's on Ole Miss's budget that has absolutely piddly squat to do with what they are doing this year from an operational standpoint.
Yeah.
So there are multiple parts of this too, where when you don't create and again, this is the problem with aggregation, is I don't know what Matt Brown originally said, and he could have said all these things, but they don't translate down to when all the aggregation happens.
Right.
To
I think he originally did say a lot.
And it's like this is not as simple as it's getting put on these lists of this is what so-and-so spends and what they don't spend and all that is. It's just not correct. But you're not getting that a lot of the time.
No, because people in our field are not very good anymore for the most part. I mean, just being honest, there's a lot of laziness. There's a lot of young people who don't have any reporting skills, that do nothing but aggregate, and so they turn it into something that's flashy and a headline, which is how much per win did you get?
Yeah, and it's so much more complicated.
Yeah, it's just that's so elementary that it's total horseshit, honestly. It's bad. But that's where we are, and you get lots of clicks and lots of retweets and lots of commentary, and you get lots of interaction, and that's the name of the game right now in our field. It just is. That's not old man yelling at cloud either. It's just an observation. I've had these conversations with people much higher up than me. I'm right.
Yeah, the one thing to take from this is simply that Ole Miss is spending at a level relevant to basketball inside the SEC. That's the one thing you take from it without trying to parse it and pick it apart. And you move forward. And look, again, their NIL and rev share numbers were commiserate with successful basketball. It just didn't work.
Yeah. Look,
so you try it again.
10 SEC teams made the tournament. Ole Miss was higher than 10th in investment on NIL.
100%.
Were they 8th? I don't know. Were they 7th? I don't know. Were they in the top 10? I think so.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that there wasn't. Now
they spent 8 figures on the roster.
Did they have as much money as some of the other teams? Obviously, there were teams that spent more. How much more? I don't know. I think if you make everything in the conversation about nothing but money, you will miss the point. And then if you turn it into, well, that we paid this, they should have gotten that. You're not giving the human element enough of a benefit of the doubt. Do what you will. If you're a fan and you're invested in it and you feel like you didn't get your ROI, hey man, you're entitled to that opinion. Absolutely go for it. I have no issue with that. It just didn't work. Now, last week in Nashville, they beat Texas, who's in the tournament. They beat Georgia, who's an 8 seed in the tournament. They beat Alabama, who's a 4 seed in the tournament. And they took Arkansas, the eventual tournament champion, who's a 4 seed in the tournament, to overtime and could have easily won the game.
Had the ball in air.
So there was some proof of concept last week that on one hand probably felt calming, and on the other hand
infuriated the hell out of you.
Should have been maddening.
Yes, honestly,
because I guess I had to tell somebody yesterday. I was like, so this season was a success. I was like, no,
absolutely not. In no capacity.
They lost 12 of 13 games down the stretch. They lost 9-10 days ago from right now to a South Carolina team that went, 4-14, 5-13 in the league at home. They lost to LSU in the last couple of weeks. They lost 12 of their last 13 SEC games. No, so you can't. There was a lot of sentiment last week, and it was emotional, and I 100% understand it. Of, man, you got to bring these guys back. You got to run it back. No, you don't. That's why I wrote yesterday in 10 Thoughts. They're doing the right thing by giving a few days to breathe. Let the emotion wear off. Because look, it's fair to say you guys played a hell of a lot harder in Nashville than you played all season. You played a hell of a lot smarter in Nashville than you played all season.
Played more cohesive.
I mean, great, but what the hell? If you had that in you, why did you not tap into it before? That's more than fair.
Yeah, now what? Why? Yeah.
So, I don't – but Ole Miss didn't not make the tournament because of a lack of financial commitment. They didn't make the tournament because they made some evaluation mistakes, and I think it's vital if you really want to understand and to look at these things with any degree of objectivity, that last week showed you, in case you wondered, you have one of the best X and O coaches, one of the best prep coaches, one of the best scout coaches in the country. He was completely prepared for Sean Miller, for Mike White, for Nate Oates, for John Calipari. Think what you want about any of those people. It's all good. All of those people are people that would get it. All 4 of those people could get other head coaching jobs right now. So they're all in different ways really good coaches. And I thought he outcoached all 4 of them. Now, the new part of this job is figuring out who is worth what. And there's not a lot of training in that. Because this isn't the old days of, hey, here's $50,000 in a shoebox, we'll give you a car. Or, hey, once you get to campus, we'll take care of you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Everybody did all that. This is different now. This is, what are you worth? And ultimately, the answer to what you're worth is what someone else is willing to pay you. And then you have to be willing to go, how flexible are you going to be with your valuations? How you manage a budget. Those are all fairly new things, not just to Chris Beard, but to all these coaches. And how you sort of figure that out. They obviously made some mistakes last year. There's no way around that. How they how they learn from what happened last season and take it forward is going to be the interesting story. And there's no way to tell that story today on March the 17th.
Basketball's magnified because one player makes such a difference. One player is required. It's a small roster. It's a limited number of impact players. But you see this across every sport. I mean, we bring it back to baseball for a minute. Ole Miss is paying Daniel Pasella one of the top 5, quote, salaries on the roster, and they're not getting anything. And what do you make of that? That's an evaluation error that's not simply one player getting reps or not reps, but that is workable budget that is going to a lack of production at the moment. And that is how you have to play through it. And it's one of the reasons why, again, big roster, you can absorb mistakes better. But it's one of the successes of Ole Miss football over the last few years is the players that they absolutely had to have, for the most part, did what they expected them to do. Or if not, they had someone step up and you had an answer to it somewhere. That's really the story in some ways of the Ole Miss football program, is hitting on the level of portal hits that they had.
Yeah, 100%.
And having success in doing that from an evaluation and a production element.
Yes.
When we can talk about Juice Wells, it's not picking on Juice Wells. It's that in some ways he was an anomaly where they overpaid on someone that did not produce relative to that expectation.
I think Lane would tell you, if you were to ask him honestly, that was the one time that they made an emotional decision in recruiting. They were he and others, but look, it was him, got so hung up in the rating process, the ranking process, that being the portal king, being the great portal program, that they spent more money on him than they should have, and it cost them in other areas. For the most part, and I'm talking about him because he was the head coach. There was more to it than that, including Pete Golding, who's on the staff. For the most part, the reason that program has had so much success with the portal is because it has been very disciplined in its valuations. That means that at times they have had to walk away from players that I think they really wanted because the number just got too high.
And every program has a number that is too high for every player and what your expectations are.
Yeah.
And then you can decide to reach on it and hope for the best, or you can just stop.
Yeah.
And yes, on the football side, Ole Miss has done a great job of just stopping and going, nope, that's what he's worth.
Yeah. No, they've
not going to do the win thing.
No, they've been very disciplined with that. That will be, 100%. There's really nothing to add to it. It's the ability to go. You don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
When you go shop, so this is what we're looking for, and this is what we're willing to pay, and be willing to walk away and let that player go somewhere else. And, look, I think, and I'm fairly sourced on this, I think in basketball last season they got into the portal late. Not because of laziness, but because I just don't – the portal was new. I do think we forget how new this is. Because we have really short attention spans. And so we just have a very short frame of reference. This is still really new, this whole era. And they got into it a little late. And by the time they really dove into it, a lot of the market had already been established. And they decided on a handful of guys that the price was too expensive. You can say, hey, PJ Haggerty would have been better at Ole Miss than he was at Kansas State. I don't know, maybe, sure. Would it have made a difference? I don't know. He produced at Kansas State, but they didn't win.
Yeah, would Pop Isaacs have given you something?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. You'll never know those things.
Yeah. Take our final break, tell you about Chicory Market, chicorymarket.com, located there in the Midtown Shopping Center on North Lamar in Oxford. Everything from great produce and vegetables, fruits, meats. They're courtesy of Home Place Pastures, Johnsdale Creamery located in there. And it's a lot of specialty items that you can't find anywhere else. You can check out a lot of their specials and more and their events at chicorymarket.com. It's great to stock up for your Airbnbs, your Verbos, coming into town for baseball and other options throughout the spring. and the rest of the semester. So, again, that is chicorymarket.com.
Brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners. Allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits, simply not available to other travelers. If you're planning a trip that you want to create a lifetime of unique memories, get in touch with John. Give him some parameters, give him a budget, and he'll take care of the rest. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com.
Podcast is brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area and offer medicine for your prescriptions the same time each month and take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery of everything you need when you need it with G&M. So again, that's 662-236-2222. All right, getting into the bracket a little bit. As Neal said, 10 SEC teams make the field. Duke.
10 made it. 2 damn near made it. It
wasn't
that
far off.
Yeah, the proof of concept from the league is still there. The truth is, this is 2 years in a row now that if you are if you're competitive in the league, you've got a hell of a shot to make the tournament.
Yeah, because Oklahoma was terrible for 5 weeks, and yet they were right there, one away.
I watched Oklahoma. Ole Miss played Alabama on Friday night. I finished working right as the second half of that game started. I walked back into the arena and watched the second half of Oklahoma and Arkansas, and Oklahoma was probably playing for its tournament life in that moment and damn near pulled it off.
Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida are your 1 seeds in the field. That was a given. There was really no drama around that whatsoever. Playing out, got Duke getting Ohio State or TCU in the second round. St. John's, team Ole Miss lost to back in early December. They are a 5 seed facing Northern Iowa in the first round. That entire side does not have a single SEC team in it. That quadrant, no.
I don't know.
I guess so. Yeah, no. The East as Duke is the 1 seed. Florida, again, the 1. You got Vanderbilt, the 5 seed in that bracket. They open with McNeese and Bill Armstrong in the first round in a 5-12 game. Vanderbilt favored by 11.5 against the Cowboys. In that one, if Vanderbilt can win, they face the winner of Nebraska and Troy in a 4-13. Nebraska favored by 13.5 in its game.
That Vandy, Florida Sweet 16 game's got a chance to be pretty intense.
You like Vandy out of that quadrant?
I do. I think Vandy's really good.
If Texas can get past St. Mary's, which feels like a tall order in the opening round, St. Mary's only favored by 2.5. I kind of like the Gales to cover here. It's one of my favorite first round games of the day from a betting standpoint. 7-10 game, St. Mary's, Texas A&M. The winner is going to get Houston in the second round. So buckle up as the Cougars are a 2 seed and a contender again. On the other side of that bracket is the Midwest, and in that, Kentucky is a 7 seed. They face Santa Clara in the first round. Kentucky favored by 3.5 against Santa Clara. If they can win, they get Ole Miss's round of 32 matchup from a year ago. Iowa State, they're a 2 seed.
They're good this year, boy.
Yeah, they're favored by 24.5 against Tennessee State in the first round there.
Yeah.
For the Cyclones. Tennessee is in this area. Tennessee is waiting on an 11 seed to get to them. After that, they would pick up Virginia or Wright State should they win. Virginia's done a good job this year. 18.5 point favorites in their opener. They're a 3 seed.
I watched most of the Tennessee Vanderbilt game in person. I'm not as enthralled with the Vols as I was earlier in the year.
Bama gets Hofstra on a 4-13 to open. They are favored by 11.5. Not a huge line there.
Well, Aiden Holloway probably out.
Possession 1 of marijuana, I believe.
Yeah,
is that?
It had more than I'm not a marijuana person, and so I don't know how much this is, but apparently this is a lot. When you have a pound, it means that
It means you were distributing.
Yeah.
That's correct. I mean, are we sure he's not going to play?
I'm not sure of anything.
I'm not even making I mean, the joke
No.
is there, but I'm not even making a joke.
It doesn't sound like he's
Okay.
going to play.
If not, Bama already drawing a pretty tough second round because Texas Tech's pretty good. If Texas Tech gets past Akron, that's a 4-5 matchup to watch there. And then Georgia, good luck with St. Louis because you would pick up Michigan in the second round. Michigan's a wagon. So
yeah, Georgia's. I mean, look, Mike got him back to the tournament 2 years in a row, which is an accomplishment.
It's a success.
I just don't know that. Having watched them play and watched them in person on Thursday night, I don't like their chances to beat a Michigan at all.
Villanova, Utah State is the 8-9 for Arizona in the second round. Wisconsin against High Point in a 5-12 game. It feels like Wisconsin's just a 5 seed every year. You can almost just plug them in. They're right there.
I think they're getting their big guy back.
Really?
Wisconsin. Now, I don't know how effective he'll be because he's missed a lot of time.
Wisconsin could be playing the Razorbacks in the second round. Arkansas against Hawaii in a 4-13 to open, 15.5-point favorite for the Hogs.
Look, I think you have to give a lot of credit to John Calipari. I mean, a lot of people were like, hey, he's washed up, whatever. Arkansas is a 4 seed a year after making the Sweet 16. Win the conference tournament. Got elite recruits coming in next year. I think you have to give him a ton of – Kyle Tucker did a really good story on him. I put it in 10 thoughts about, he needed a fresh start and probably didn't realize how much of a fresh start he needed. And, they're super invested in men's basketball there. The freshman backcourt they have is it's special when you watch them play live. I got to watch them play second half against Oklahoma in person, and then I saw obviously their game against Ole Miss, where Ole Miss was basically right there with was no basically to it. I mean, Arkansas built up a 10-point lead early, and you're like, okay, legs are. Ole Miss was reaching a lot. They weren't moving their feet. They were reaching. They were collecting fouls, and then they found another gear, and the rest of that game was a back and forth yo-yo. It was, I mean, again, if you're Ole Miss, it's just maddening, honest to God, to look at the games against Georgia and Alabama and Arkansas and to see where you were and why you couldn't be there most of the season is it has to be incredibly frustrating. But Arkansas is good. I mean, if you told me that Arkansas and Arizona play in a Sweet 16 game that goes to the wire, I'd buy it.
And the Missouri Tigers, 10 seed, they face the Miami Hurricanes. Team Ole Miss lost to at the Pavilion this season in a 7-10 game.
That could be a good game.
And the winner gets the Boilermakers in the second round.
I love Mitchell for Missouri. He's one of my favorite players in the league to watch. I think he's a really smart player. He plays really hard. He's talented. That'll be a fun game to watch.
BYU, the 6th seed in that field. They get Gonzaga in the second round, assuming both those win. BYU has continued to be a very good program in the post-Mark Pope era. They have DeMons, obviously, on their team.
He's a great player. Fun to watch.
Could be a darling if they make a little run. One you definitely want to focus on throughout the tournament. So Thursday, first round. These first 4 games today, tonight, and tomorrow. Again, as we're getting close to the end, Owen Kelly starting for the Rebels tonight. Kind of need to get him going a little bit. I think if you can have a critical midweek start, I think it's a bit of a critical midweek start for Owen Kelly tonight. Again, Austin P. 4:00 was 6:30, moving up. Weather, all that good jazz. I'm sure the Governors had no problems getting back home a little earlier, so they're more than happy to come on in from Clarksville and play at 4:00. I assume.
I imagine it'll be a lot more pleasant at 4:00 than it will be at 8.
Yeah, you're getting sun in like high 40s or something. It's okay.
It'll be chilly.
You'll be all right.
But you won't be frigid. When the sun goes down, it's going to get cold.
Yeah, covered some plants yesterday just for 1 or 2 nights, just in case.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, might be time for that. So again, World Baseball Classic tonight, the final. You got Venezuela and the Americans. You got Will Wade, Texas. For some reason, that one's, I guess, knows the name value there is sticking to me a little bit. Oh, so we asked earlier in the stream, or earlier in the stream about Dish Falk at Texas. Somebody asked where I would rank it. I don't know, 7th, 8th in the SEC on parks. They've done a good job modernizing what a park that was built in the mid 70s. It's very old. They've done as much as they can do from a sweet press box standpoint. They've done a pretty good job with the guts of it. The turf field takes points away. I hate it in every way. There is no dirt anywhere on Texas's field, which is weird for the University of Texas, but it is what it is. They used real AstroTurf, like the hard stuff, through 2007.
Oh.
I mean, the concrete, if you will, through 2007, and then they switched to a different synthetic after that. But it's not. Look, stadiums are preferences. Nobody's going to have the same list, but I have a hard time putting it ahead of Ole Miss, State, Arkansas, LSU, South Carolina, A&M, and that's 6 right there. So I think 7's about as high as you can put it. But they were great. Everybody was very, very nice. Josh, their media relations director, is top notch. He was incredibly helpful throughout the weekend.
They were super helpful in basketball. They were great.
Their power went out in the stadium on Sunday for about 25 minutes, and that created a lot of chaos because it kills scoreboards. It kills everything as far as pitch clocks and everything in the stadium, but then it also killed stat keeping. So you were going back to tabs and handwritten stuff, trying to catch up and whatnot. Probably those interns never thought about having to keep it by hand. The
Probably
students
not.
that were in the room. Crystal Conte came in, by the way, and was ordering folks around to try to get it as fixed as possible. There was a scoreboard that still worked, and he was very adamant that he would like the main things taken from this scoreboard and put on this scoreboard, and he was not thrilled that was not possible. He was frustrated at the event, and to some degree taking it out a little bit on the staff that was not solvable in the moment. But is what it is. We haven't had the power go out at one since Ole Miss doing the daytime fireworks back in 2008 with Houston, or 2007, and when Houston came in.
I remember
you just missed it.
Yeah.
You probably weren't here that day. I doubt that was the SEC game of the week that you got thrust.
No, I was covering LSU that day. I don't remember who LSU was playing, but I do remember being in Baton Rouge and hearing about it.
I think it was 55-8 was the score of that game.
Oh.
Is that right?
I don't know.
It was Orgeron's 0-8 season.
I can tell you in 2007, covering the league as a whole, Ole Miss was not much on the radar.
Now I'm curious. Am I right? 44-8. Sorry, not 55-8. 44-8. Houston.
No, I wish I could remember who LSU played that day.
I mean, I can tell you. Hold on.
I definitely covered it.
It was October 20th.
Okay.
There were 52,671 in attendance for Ole Miss and Arkansas. The 2007 LSU football Tigers, they won the BCS National Championship, beating Ohio State that season.
Yep, I covered that game.
They were at Tiger Stadium at home in a 30-24 win over the Auburn Tigers that day.
That's where I was.
That was number 17 Auburn and number 4 LSU in Death Valley.
I think the Saints had a game the next day, so if I recall correctly. Yep.
LSU beat Ole Miss 41-24 that season.
In fact, I'm almost positive of it because I think I went to New Orleans on Friday night, stayed there, got up and went to LSU, and then came back to New Orleans so I could cover the Saints Sunday.
Oh, okay.
It was a fairly standard weekend.
There you go. Read from the stream, a couple things I didn't know there. All right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Again, we'll recap some of the things that happened tonight, including Ole Miss baseball, and then moving forward into the weekend. Again, Kentucky Thursday, Friday, Saturday from Swayze Field. So take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.